How are you guys? This is Jarsi Ibanez with Cleats Talk Media, and today we have Andrea here from the Costa Rican national team joining us, and we'll be interviewing her today and asking her just a couple questions so that we can get to know her. Today we are at the Crossbar Academy indoor facility, and we're excited for this. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Excited to be here.
That's awesome, awesome. So hey, appreciate you coming out. I'm sure the drive from Houston was good to you, and and I mean we're excited here. Um, we're always looking towards finding players like yourself at this level that are making noise, so that other female players, other girls get to see players like yourself in the light. And you get to talk about those experiences and how it can impact them as well. So yeah, thank you for coming out. I got a couple questions here. I wanna be able to ask you. This is good. This is gonna be fun. First question I'm gonna ask you is, if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Um, as a lot of my friends know, definitely my mom knows. I love steak, any type of steak,
Ooh.
ribeye, any type, any type. Steak is definitely a priority to me.
Medium,
Yeah, I
rare,
gotta do
well
medium.
done.
Medium.
You like
Medium is
medium rare?
perfect because I don't want it to be well done. I used to be a well done person,
Oh yeah,
but then
you
that
like the
just takes
burn and
away.
all.
Yeah, that just takes away the flavor of the
It does.
actual
It
meat.
does. It really does.
So medium. I came down to medium.
And you like eating that with like a side of rice or something, or no?
Definitely some mashed potatoes. I loved me some mashed potatoes, some Caesar salad, them Texas Roadhouse.
Roadhouse, yeah, and that what is it, the cinnamon buns and all
Yeah,
that they
yeah,
got. Yeah,
yeah.
those are the best.
Those are good too.
So, if you could have any superpower, what would you choose?
Probably being able to control time, maybe go back in time,
Oh
forward
yeah.
in time. Any mistake that I do, I can reset it.
If you had one thing that with this superpower that if you could control time, what would it be? You said go back in time, fix things. Like what is that?
Um, Probably I don't know, maybe I flunk a test or something. I can go back, study again, or remember what the answers were and then just do
And
it.
just be like, oh yeah, that's not gonna be
Yeah,
enough. That's mean A plus right there.
exactly.
Awesome. What's your most used emoji?
Definitely the shaka. I'm from Costa Rica,
Yeah,
so the
yeah.
shaka is
You
definitely
already
my
know.
favorite one.
Ronaldinho, is that your favorite player right there?
No, my
Ah,
favorite player, well, she retired. Her name is Shirley Cruz. She's
okay.
from the Costa Rican national team. But my current favorite player, probably Palmer from
Interesting.
Chelsea. Yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
he's really good. I
Yeah.
think he's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
good. He's very techy.
Hmm. What would you rather score a hat trick or make a game? Would you rather score a hat trick or make a game saving tackle?
Um, as a holding mid, I have to go with game saving tackle. Like, imagine, especially in college, everyone's hype. Tackles are very much appreciated, and goals are too. But the
Yeah. Yeah.
tackle is going in hard.
Give us one moment. Give us a moment. Let's visualize the slide tackle.
Like in a hypothetical side tackle.
Yeah.
Okay, well, actually, I don't really got to think too far from the tree. There was a game. I forgot who it was against, but basically we were up. I think it was against Hendrix, our first game against Hendrix. We were up by one.
Wow.
It was like the last minutes of the game, and I forgot which one of my teammates, but the ball was like bouncing in.
Hmm.
No one was there.
And
My
everyone's just
teammate
staring, just
was
watching. They're like,
running. My
"Whoa!"
teammate was running, sprinting to the ball, and she slid and got it out
Everybody
perfectly.
watched it in slow motion, though, right? You were
Yes, I
like,
was like, oh
moments.
my gosh. I was so scared. But yeah.
No, that's awesome. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about your mindset and your competition side. What motivates you the most when you step onto the field?
Probably all the sacrifices that led me up to that moment. Like my mom definitely sacrificed a lot. People have done so much for me to be where I am. And definitely God. God is
That's
my
good.
number one.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so you have a lot of people in your life that have helped you, motivated you through, and kept pushing you to achieve, what you've achieved so far, and that's the motivation that you use, that drive to get you,
Yes,
to
exactly.
practices and to games.
Of
Okay.
course.
So, what does wearing the Costa Rican under 20 national team badge mean to you? I mean, right now, it gets you dressed up. You're wearing, nice polo there, looking good, and
Yes,
you
yes.
know,
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. I've always dreamt of playing for my national team. Um, and it, it's a big badge to carry. It's not something that you take lightly. And I know I don't really talk to people about like my experience there, but it's really like no other. Here in America, you come to play. Some people do it as their pastime. Some people do it because they want to go somewhere. But their reasons are all different, right?
right,
Their drives are all different.
right,
But in Costa Rica, we play like it's our last game,
yeah,
And coming from a an evolving country now, not a third world country anymore.
right, right, right.
Um, it we have reason to be there. We have a lot of people that make sacrifices there, and so every ball is like our last ball.
Yeah, because you also have to consider that your commitment, and not only your commitment but your discipline, could determine whether you hit the pitch again or not, right?
Exactly, exactly.
So you have to, like you said, have that mentality that this could be my last game. I don't
Right,
know, right? Anything
right.
can happen.
Exactly. And
Mm,
coming from like I live here obviously to study in America, um, there can be a player that's exactly like me.
yep.
It maybe same size, same position, everything exactly like me, but they live in Costa Rica. It's cheaper to have them on the team
Hmm.
than it is to have me on the team.
Right.
What would make them want to choose me instead
That's a
of them?
great question, and we
You
talk
know?
about stuff like this a lot. The American mentality as well when it comes to discipline, and then everybody else outside.
Hmm.
So let's touch a little bit on that. I like to kind of pick your brain a little bit. That let's elaborate that. Why you're right. Why, what made you different, right? What made you different? Because you are correct, and a lot of youth players and a lot of players here, they get comfortable, and they think the opportunity can just be given to anybody. But also understanding how hard you have to work, because I say this a lot to the players in our academy is you have to put in the work ethic. You have to work as hard or just as hard as the player somewhere else that could get the same opportunity,
Yeah.
as you as well. So.
Yeah, yeah, and honestly, I go by the phrase a lot. It's hard to get there, but it's even harder to stay there,
Hmm.
and that's what they tell me a lot. Like, it can be as simple as picking up a cone for your team that will determine whether or not you're gonna be picked next,
the
or you're
social
gonna
the
be
social
picked
part of
again.
it, right?
Yeah, of
How you
course.
respect, how
Mm-hmm.
you present
Of
yourself
course.
from walking to the field, shaking the hands, everything's super important.
Yeah, in Costa Rica, we have really good manners. Like, we always say hi to everyone when you're walking down the street here in America. You don't really say like hello or things like
Hmm.
that. Maybe once or twice you do, but over there you have to. If you don't, it's like disrespectful,
Yeah, yeah.
So, the people over there, although it's a very competitive environment, kind of like the U.S. national team, you hear a lot of bad things coming from
Hmm.
that national team. But from our national team, although we're all essentially against each other, to be on the list
Yeah,
who
all
gets called
fighting,
up,
y'all all competing for
when
that.
we are on that list, or right when we step off the field, we're like best friends.
Yep.
We're very close. I still keep in touch with all of them. So it's 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 very different, the environment there, than it is to here, because here I get the mañas, as we call it, like
Hmm.
the
The habits.
the
Yeah,
habits. Yeah,
yeah. Good and
we
bad.
get the habits, right? I get habits here, especially at St. Thomas. They tell me a lot of stuff, and I bring it over there, and over there it's different,
Yeah.
So it's just about adapting. It's just about fitting in. It's about being able to work with people.
And most important, it's about being responsive, right?
Hmm.
That's the key word, I believe, that you're trying to say, is that you're here, you have to be able to transition and respond to the cultural change, right?
Hmm.
The
Yeah, of
environment,
course.
everything. And I think that's also what a lot of coaches look at, whether it's at the collegiate level, at the youth level, or even at the international level, right? um, they're looking for how you respond and how you perceive to things
Hmm.
first, because the key thing that everybody misses out, and we talk a lot about this, is are you coachable,
Mhm.
right? And coaches usually determine coachability based on the social development, right?
Mhm.
And you're talking about manners, you're talking about all these other things because they want to be able to talk to you. They don't want to yell at you, and if
Yeah,
they
of course.
do, it's a response, right?
Mhm.
But they want to know if you're coachable, and
Yeah, of
and
course.
that's great. That's great that you talk a lot about that because that'll help open up the eyes to a lot of kids that want to either play for the national team in the U.S. or wherever they're able to get it based on dual citizenships and stuff like that
Yeah, of
too. So
course.
it's good that you do that. So how do you mentally prepare before a big match?
Mentally prepare. I probably just listen to a lot of music. Um, just try to imagine what I would feel like on the field, different scenarios. I know that's probably like what little kids used to do when they watch like Neymar highlights and things like
Mm-hmm.
that right before a game. But honestly, I try not to think too much of like who we're playing against, how important this game is,
Mm-hmm.
or like the mistakes that I'm gonna make. I try to think about like the good outcomes. Try to think about like,
The kind of
okay,
plays, the kind of passes,
yeah,
all that
yeah,
stuff.
like keep it simple. If I have the opportunity, I can be a little techie, but in whenever you're at this type of level, it has to be quick. It has to be fast. It has to
Smart
be
is to be
smart.
sharp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has to be simple, and I've learned that a lot
Yeah.
recently. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So what separates you from other players at your level?
Honestly, probably my aggressiveness and drive. I know I talk about that a lot, but I think drive is probably the most important thing you can
Oh yeah,
have.
I think that's important. You bring it up a lot because to be successful, I feel that you have to be driven and
Mhm.
self motivated, and I
Mhm.
feel that a lot of players like that, especially here in the U.S. We see a lot of it where the motivation comes from the parent, right?
Yeah,
Like
of course.
wanting to say, "Hey, you got to get up, you got to,"
Mhm.
and then the kids are used to that. Like you said, creating habits here that
Mhm.
usually over there. If everyone wakes up, no one's gonna tap your shoulder. They're like, "Hey, by the way, practice starts in 5 minutes." No, you're still
Mhm.
sleeping. They'll come back and they'll be like, "Hey, she never woke up." I mean,
Mhm.
that's her on her. That's her responsibility, right? So yeah, I like that you mentioned that a lot. That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So we'll talk a little bit about your personal journey. You know, what kind of got you here in a way, right? So what challenges did you face early in life, and how did they shape you and make you the person that you are today?
Yeah, so I didn't start playing competitive soccer till I was probably the end of my 8th grade or my freshman year of high school. Reason being is because when I was younger, I was deaf. I was deaf in one ear completely, and then like almost completely deaf in the other ear.
Wow.
I know, and it was a struggle because at first we didn't know what was wrong with me, and it wasn't just like about hearing; it was about pain. Pain was horrible. I would wake up at like 2 in the morning, run around the house. We would call my tita from home, from Costa Rica,
Right, right,
asking
right.
her what to
Right,
do,
right, right.
and like nothing would work. And so eventually we found out that it was that. I had 4 surgeries. Yeah, 4 surgeries to fix my hearing, and it worked. Sometimes I feel like I'm still a little deaf because I can't like listen. But yeah, and my surgeries really were a big factor in my childhood. Growing up, making friends, passing school. In school, Spanish is my first language, so it was really hard to learn English growing up because, especially reading, in
Right,
reading,
right,
um, we would have spelling tests, and spelling tests are like they give you a blank piece of paper. The teacher walks around, or she stands in front of the class and says a word. Whenever she would say the word, I wouldn't be able to hear, or like I would hear something else, or try to make up the rest of the word,
right.
and I would write what I would think I would hear. So I would fail every exam. So I had to go to summer school a lot, and math was like my favorite subject because you didn't have to hear anything to like pass
Right. You
to
see
do
numbers and
good,
okay, numbers
I
are
see the
there. I'm ready
numbers,
to
I can
go.
do whatever I
Yeah.
can do you know so reading was really hard, and that was a big struggle. And not being able to hear on the field is a big factor too.
Hmm.
So
You're more alert. You're
yeah,
like, okay,
yeah,
who's calling me, but who's not calling?
hmm,
Did I
exactly,
make the right choice, the right decisions? Like,
exactly.
yeah,
So whenever I started playing soccer, that was when I was better. I had all my surgeries done. Um, so I started late. I was behind,
right,
and I felt like I was behind. I mean, it felt kind of isolating because people would be at this level, and I would think I would have to be at this level. But now that I look back at it, I put too much pressure on myself. But it's good that I put too much pressure on myself because it got me where I am now. You know.
yeah. So it kind of adds on to last question I asked you about what drives you and what motivates you. So you went through an experience of struggle, right? That we like to say character building phase, right?
Exactly.
So it helped create and mold the person that you are today. So that's very cool. I don't think a lot of people can relate, but I'm sure that the small handful that can, they're like, oh wow, Mira, that's really cool. That
Yeah.
you went through that, and you had a lot of adversities that could have you could have simply just been like, I'm done, you know, and that's cool. You
Exactly.
still continued through that journey. So who influenced you the most growing up, and what's something they taught you that still sticks with you today?
Definitely my mom, but
Yeah.
if I'm being honest, my mom gets her sayings and things like that from my great grandma.
Right. So
You
it's
know,
tradition. It's like
yeah,
a
it's
it's like a
like it's
trickle effect.
exactly. And so, like, I mean, essentially, I would say my great grandma because it's my mom.
Right.
But she always tells me sayings that my great grandma used to tell her. She always tells me things that she's been through, and I think it really makes me feel like I am able to do something even when physically or mentally I feel like I can't. You know, it's like a reminder that anything I can do, I have to do it. And like my mom always says, if I'm gonna do something, I have to do it well.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
even if I don't want to do it,
Mm-hmm.
even if I'm forced to do it,
Yeah.
I'd rather do it well
Yeah.
and
It is
then
a
dragging.
representation of who you are. It
Hmm.
always is, right? That's cool. Mom's got some good advice, and she's still kind of pinging in your ear,
Yes,
So
of
it's
course, always.
that's great. So now we talked about your personal journey and everything that's kind of made you who you are today. I kind of want to tap in a little bit on academics and how you balance things out in life. I think it's also very important for our viewers, the kids, the youth, and girls your age that are kind of in that similar boat. So education, soccer, life, personal life, free time, right? So you balance two high schools while earning a college degree. How did you manage that?
Yeah, it was, I don't even know. Like, honestly, I look back at it and I'm like, I used to do 8 classes a day. Like, this is crazy. But I used to go to an early college prep school, right?
Okay.
And they don't have sports there, or at least when I was there, they didn't have sports. And obviously, I want to play high school soccer. Like that's
Right,
always
right.
that when I was younger, that was always my dream. Considering I couldn't play, so I found out my sophomore year that I could play for my zone school. My zone school at the time was Sharpstown High School. So I went to Challenge Early College for education, and I played for Sharpstown High School for soccer.
Hmm.
Throughout this time that I was at Challenge, I was also going to HCC, took some classes at UT, um, for to get my associates by the time I graduate.
Right.
So I would wake up at like 5 in the morning every morning to do soccer training at Sharpstown High School. From Sharpstown High School, I would leave right after to go to Challenge. I would spend my whole day doing classes there, obviously all the way till 3:30.
Right.
I would leave, go back to Sharpstown, train again, leave, go to club soccer, and then from there I would be able to go home and work
Wow.
whatever I needed to do. So it was a struggle. It felt like I wasn't a too much of a challenge person to fit in with the challenge kids. It didn't feel like I was too much of a sharp sound person to fit in with the sharp sound kids. It was like I was in between.
You're in limbo
You
between the
know,
two. Yeah.
and like obviously I had friends and I loved my friends. I still love them. I still hang out with them. But like that would always be a topic. Like I either choose sharp sound or choose challenge. But
Yeah.
I wanted to do both, and I did. I graduated early with my associates,
Wow.
and I went to USC early. Um, so now that I'm at USC with my associates, I can graduate early too. Sometimes I feel like I should have worked harder, but then people remind me that like I have over 60 credits of college while being in my first year of college. So it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard because physically I was sick all the time
Oh no.
because I never got sleep or I never had time to go eat and things like
So
that.
your immune system kept dropping.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I was sick all the time, but I mean, I worked through it. I played hard, got my most assists in the district, helped my friend get most top goal scorer in the district. I was like, I think it was like number 7 or something like that for most assists in the state at some
Wow.
point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun.
So you say like that would be? Would you say that would be some of the biggest struggles, that you faced during that time?
Yeah, probably not having time for the social aspect of like high school.
Yeah.
Like I went out sometimes with my friends on hangouts, but it was like on weekends where I didn't have no games or it was what is it called? A bye weekend. Is that what
Mm-hmm.
it's called for
Yeah.
high
Where
school?
you skip a game? Yeah.
Yeah, where we don't have a weekend game, I would have that
Yeah. So you
weekend to
use
hang
that.
out.
You'd use that
Yeah.
weekend. You're like freedom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the problem was it wasn't really just the social aspect, but also like not finding time to see my mom at all. Like
Right.
it's just me and my mom at home. At
Yeah.
this time, my sister was in college, so I would be really sad about that too. But I learned to fend for myself. I learned to cook for myself. I learned to do everything for myself. I drove myself everywhere, even since I was a sophomore.
Wow.
So I did everything for myself. I woke up before my mom woke up, so I wouldn't see her in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got home when my mom was already sleeping because
Mm.
she had a long day at the hospital.
Right. Right.
So I
Right.
would never be able to see her. And it's just a struggle not being able to have, someone there like that. But
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
find
Because
our
you're both
way.
constantly working, and
Hmm.
you know that's yeah. That would be a big struggle.
Yeah.
And I would say my follow with that would be, what were the best parts of those that you enjoyed? Those moments.
I
As you went through the struggles, yes, but there's always a downside to it, but there's always an upside to things, right,
Yeah,
in
of
life.
course.
So I guess what would be that upside? What were those
Um,
joyful moments that you did get to enjoy during those challenges, academic years, and all that? So
Yeah, obviously for the challenge side, it was so much fun my senior year because since I graduated early, I could still go back for the for the senior events
right.
without having to do the whole studying thing. So it was really fun having those connections with my friends that I knew would be there was really fun. They made a soccer team at Challenge like my junior year, so I played there.
Hmm.
It was not competitive, but it was fun nevertheless. They really liked,
You get to laugh.
yeah,
You get to
they
enjoy
really
your
liked
time.
the fact that I played soccer and all of that. They took big pride on that. And then for the Sharpstown side, um, high school soccer was just fun
Yeah.
overall. The rivalry against um, a girl named Jocelyn on the Wall Trip team, because that was our rival team. Her name was Joss, and she is now my teammate at UST. What are the odds? So, building those connections with friends that I still have, friends that have pushed me, like they've pushed me so much. They've made sacrifices too, so I could also be on the national team. Like
Yeah.
they're just really lifelong connections that I've made there, and seeing my mom after games was also the highlight of
Yeah. There you go.
those
Well, that's awesome. That's
era.
awesome. So you had quite a journey, through it all, from not being able to hear, getting the surgery, dealing with the high school stuff, in limbo, trying to make time for family, your mom, right, and then
Mhm.
also friends, and being
Yes.
trying to also be young, right,
Mhm.
um, and now you you're entering this phase, like, like, how do I balance it? And you balance it pretty well from what I can hear.
Mhm.
You had your moments, I'm sure, right? But I think that's that thing too. Like, you had your mom in the back of your head, like, don't give up, keep going, right? So that's cool. You're inspiring me for sure. It's very awesome to hear something like that, because not often do you hear, a kid go through a lot of those obstacles themselves, and then somehow find the motivation
Mhm.
to say, you know what, I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna worry about me. And you are a living proof of, you said you started competitive soccer at a very late stage.
Mhm.
So, it proves to everyone that, it's not too late, right?
Mhm.
As long as you're disciplined, as long as you take the time. You went through your character development phase, but you also went through your discipline phase. And when we talk about social development, right? What colleges look for, what national teams look for, what youth coaches look for, and myself as a director of a club too. We always talk about the psychological development and the social development, right? The
Mhm.
social being, how that child respects his parents, the coaches, how they enter the field. College coaches and the international team coaches, they all look for those things, right? Because they want to know at the end, like, are you coachable? And so, talking through this, you've definitely shown us that, how important that is. So yeah, I mean, that was awesome,
Yeah.
but I want to talk about your college career too. Like, tell us a little bit about your first collegiate game, and that experience alone. And you know
Yeah. So when I played a prank on my teammates when I first came in. I told them I was 16 because I mean I looked young at the
right,
time. I
right,
looked
right,
even younger, so it was silly. It was silly. They all believed me. I mean, like at the time I was like I think it was 17 when
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
started playing, so I wasn't too far off. But yeah, first game was against TSU, Texas Southern, or Southern Texas University. I
right,
don't know what you would say. Um, it was a 7v7 because they didn't have enough players. We didn't have enough players. So usually, since it's a preseason game or postseason game,
hmm,
sorry,
hmm,
um, we can decide whether it's a 7v7, whatever you would like.
right,
So we did a 7v7, and I was really nervous. I don't know. I felt so nervous. It was my first college game, like,
yeah,
and I don't know any of these girls. I just started playing with them since it was my first semester. And I'm the only like freshman, new freshman,
right, right,
because
right,
I'm the only one that came in that semester.
right,
So I come in, and we're all dressed up. I'm wearing my uniform, and I tuck in my jersey because I play with my jersey tucked.
right, right.
And everybody starts flaming me for it, and I'm like, "Oh Lord!" So everybody starts taking pictures of me. I actually still have a picture of me posing for them. Um, so we get started in the game. I'm a starter, which I did not expect to
Right,
start over a senior,
right,
or a junior. And so we're playing the game. It's pretty good. TSC is a little bit aggressive, but it's expected. I mean, college games are expected to be that way. But there's this one girl specifically who starts playing aggressively towards me. She comes
right.
in later in the game, and she starts playing immediately aggressive. There's a ball like kind of bouncing, and I'm trying to get the ball. Runs into me completely, and I slide.
Oh man,
And I'm like, "Ooh, that was the first play
a
for
little
her,
for your first taste.
first play for her." And I'm knocked out on the ground, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna be bad." So then we continue playing, and I receive the ball. My back is facing the goal that we're supposed to score on, which is bad, but
Yeah.
whatever. I check my shoulder, and I see she's coming, and so I turn and I get past her, and
Hmm.
she fully
Shoves you.
pushes me from the back,
Oh
and
man,
I fall again. I'm
it's trying
like,
to get in your head.
So then another play comes in. This is the play that matters. It's their throwing, and she's a little bit ahead of me. And so I start sprinting because I see the thrower's gonna throw the ball to her, and she she checks her shoulder,
Right.
as a person should. She sees I'm coming, and she goes elbow up, boom, to my jaw,
No.
right to my face, boom, dislocated jaw. First game of
Ah,
my college career, dislocated jaw, and I hadn't gone out the whole game. I was about to play the whole game, hadn't gone out the whole game. I'm playing a few minutes with my jaw dislocated. I
mm.
can't hear anything from my ear.
Yeah, it's still ringing.
Yes, it's still ringing. And everybody's like, Dre, are you okay? Dre, are you okay?
You're
Are
like,
you okay? And I'm
"Yeah,
like, yeah, yeah. And I'm running like this with my hand so it can like,
yeah,
cause my hands were cold, so
yeah."
it would help a little bit. And so I get subbed out finally. I get checked by the trainer, and she starts saying, "Oh, yep, yeah, let me see your jaw." And so I open my jaw as much as I could open it, and then boom, she puts it back in
Slaps
place,
it
and I'm
in.
like, oh, oh, that hurt.
Does that feel better now?
And so I go back in later on, and that girl was pissed
Just like,
because I kept like I had her,
yeah,
as people would say, like locked,
locked
you
in.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
She couldn't get past me, so she got upset and she just kept trying to foul me. But it was a fun and interesting game. Everybody like remembers my first game as me having my jaw dislocated, and yeah,
That's a funny story.
yeah,
That's all funny. She's like, yeah, 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 and then, oh, I dislocated her, but now she's coming back in. And it's like,
yep, yep.
that's awesome. What about your first goal? You know, your first collegiate
First
goal.
goal,
Do you remember that?
yeah.
Yeah.
It was surreal, to be honest. I'm sad because it was a home game, and the only home game that my mom didn't come to because it was senior night, so I expected not to play because the midfielders were seniors.
Right.
So I was like, oh, they're gonna play the whole game.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna let them be.
yeah.
And I told my mom not to come. Little did I know that I whatever. Anyways, so I we've been having good shots. I've had like 3 shots prior to the goal, and I felt good. Like my shots were good. They just kept going up a little bit because I didn't expect to be that close. So I get the ball from about 30 yards out.
Right.
I start to dribble. I get the ball taken from me, but my teammate was behind me,
She recovered it.
so recovered it because the girl just kicked it.
Yeah.
So she recovered it, and I opened myself up again, back to the 30, 35. Passes the ball to me, my teammate. I take a touch, I look up, and I take a shot straight into the top right corner. Goalie was like, no. And I just go, I'm trying to act nonchalant, like I'm trying to be cool
Yeah, yeah,
about
like,
it.
yeah, you're like,
But then I'm like, everybody in the sideline screaming, everybody coming to yelling at me, screaming. And so I'm like, you know what? Let's just go. And
yeah,
so I
yeah, yeah.
start screaming and I'm running to the sideline, high fiving all my teammates and everything. It was very surreal.
That's
Very surreal.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. It's a moment that you think of. There's a lot of moments like myself that I can think back to the day, like goals that I've scored. I remember for me it was like a corner, and it was my first goal on a select team, and I remember corner, and I was short kid on the team. I was playing U17. I was still short, and for whatever reason, my forward decided not to go to that game that day, and I was given an opportunity, and I was like, I'm taking it. But I still played as a left back. But I thought myself like, okay, well now I have more chances to score, goals or whatever. But for a corner, it was the highest I have ever jumped. I header that ball, boom, back of the net. So I can relate that moment that
Mhm.
when you get that opportunity, you seize it. So
Yeah,
that's pretty
exactly.
cool.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, you know, we've enjoyed having you here, and it was great hearing your journey, everything that you went through. I appreciate you taking the time to make the drive here.
Of course.
I think I want to close with, what's an advice that you would give to the youth for players that dream at playing at your level.
I think maybe just don't worry about where you are compared to others. I think that's what really,
Focus on you.
yeah,
Focus
really
on your journey
destroys someone,
and the distractions. Like, don't worry about the distractions. Don't worry what Peter and Paul are doing over there.
Yeah.
Right? Worry about you.
Yeah, I think, I mean, control what you can't control,
Yeah.
and the only thing that you can't control is yourself.
Exactly.
You can't control how good the grass is. You can't
Yeah.
control how good of a coach you have. You can control yourself.
Yeah.
And growing up, that's what I did. I controlled what I wanted to control, what I could control, and it got me to where I am.
That's
You know?
awesome. And so, what's next for you? What are you chasing right now?
Right now, I'm chasing that World Cup
Yeah,
right
let's
now
talk
in
about that.
Poland.
I was waiting
I'm
for that
I'm
one.
I'm excited. I'm
so
so
so you'll
excited.
be participating at the end of the year, right?
We don't know the list yet,
Yeah.
but I have gone back over there to train with them and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just excited. I mean,
Like, you're gonna work for it, right? So we
yep,
talked about your journey. We know that you're disciplined, so you're definitely gonna work for that.
of
So
course.
it'd be great to see you. Yeah, give us a little more details on it.
Yeah, so the 2026 U20 World Cup
Yeah.
in Poland. Um, I don't think we know the groups yet. I think we did. I think they told us, but I kind of forgot.
It's okay.
But it's intense. It's important to me, to the whole team. Um, it's a fight for sure. For sure, it's a fight.
To be the best in the world. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
but
big
I
stage.
mean, coming from a small country, um, we don't there's nothing really expected from us, so we don't have anything to lose.
Yeah.
You know, so or we don't have anything to prove. So it's not a lot of pressure on us, but we put pressure on ourselves because we know we want to do something with it. You
Right.
know, so we're excited. We're excited.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you tuning in. This is Jarsi Ibanez of Cleats Talk Media and Andrea. And we'll see you guys next time for the next interview. Awesome. Good job.